Alright, Chapter 5, Rate of Change and Slope in the first section. Welcome to Chapter 5. We just spent the whole chapter learning how to find the rate of change. Other times we call it common difference. We learn how to take values from a table and determine the amount of change between the points. For example, if we look at this one here, we learn to do second minus first. 13 minus 7 is 6. 22 minus 13 is 9. Then you would say 3 minus 1 is 2, 6 minus 3 is 3, and we then did 6 divided by 2, which is a 3, and we did 9 divided by 3, which is a 3, and we found out that m was 3. That was what we did in Chapter 4. I have good news for you. If you learn how to do this process, should be this, not a his, you're already set for finding slope. So what's the difference between rate of change and slope? The answer to that question is nothing. There is nothing different about it. The problem will be set up differently, and you only actually need 2 points to find the rate of change or slope. Those two are the same word, by the way. Make sure you make that adjustment in your brain. But you will follow a very similar process. Slope and rate of change are synonyms with each other. Synonyms. Cinnamon. That's what I almost said. This means that they are the same. We will learn more technical and specific ideas related to slope. So open your minds for a new perspective. But there is really no need to worry. The general slope formula is this. So you want to copy that formula because that formula must be memorized. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where y2 means second y, so obviously y1 means first y. X2 means second x, therefore x1 means first x. This is the official formula, and it must be memorized, again, for every class you take until you completely finish with school. Now, whether you memorize the formula like you're being asked to do, or whether you memorize how to find slope, I think in the end it's more important that you just know how to find slope. But you are going to see that formula again at some point, which is why it is what it is. So if you were asked to find the slope of the line passing through this using what we know, which is that m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, that is my first x and y. This is my second xy, so y2 would be 31. Y1 would be 7. X2 would be 10. X1 would be 4. 31 minus 7 is 24. 10 minus 4 is 6. Overall, your rate of change or slope is 4. Now, in a familiar way, again, you can memorize that, and it is good that you memorize that, but we can also go to a way that we know how to do, which is also going to be on your homework today, which is to take these 2 points and put them into a table. So 4, 7 is my first point. 10, 31 is my second point. You then do 31 minus 7 on the top. You then do 10 minus 4 on the bottom, because again that's what we did, was 24 here, 6 there, which then gives you your answer of 4. As long as you know how to get that rate of change, then you're okay. Either of those methods again is okay with me, and I'm sure your future teachers again will be more concerned that you can calculate the slope than they are that you know the official formula. So your homework is going to ask you to do both of these, but even after that, just make sure that you get good with one of them and to the point where you could do it for the rest of your math career, because again, at some point you are going to need it again, especially when you get to geometry and other classes like that. So your job pretty much is just to pick a strategy that works for you and master it, as it is with everything else, because again, your future teachers do not want to reteach you how to solve. They don't want to reteach how to do order of operations, how to do slope, how to graph a line, and all those things that we'll be doing. So again, the computer will make sure that you show work. Be sure to use the second y and second x first. Also be sure to use the parentheses for subtracting a negative. So when you do 6 minus negative 4, make sure you type it in like that, not that, because the computer will probably mark you wrong if you do that versus putting that parentheses. Again, overall there are 3 ways to identify slope. The first is from the slope of 2 points, which we just talked about. The second is from an equation. Remember that it is y equals mx plus b, which means in this case your slope is 8. And the third way is using an actual line. So in order to get the slope of an actual line, you must memorize this phrase. Again, write this down somewhere in your notes, because this is important. Your rise can go up or down. So your rise could be positive over positive, because your run always has to be positive, or it could be negative over positive. It will never be something over a negative. Your run will always go to the right, Again, it will never be negative, but your rise, depending on what's going on, is up or down first. So again, that's a key idea for you to kind of keep in mind as we get ready to go forward in this stuff. So looking at this, you will always start from the left. And from there, you'll count your rise. So my rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down. Again, always start from the left and go up or down to get to the second point. I went 7 down, then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which means that my rise over run is -7 because I went down over 6, and that would be my slope of that line. Same thing here, always start from the left. To get to that point, I have to go up 3. So my rise is 3. My run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you always have to reduce or simplify your fraction, and that is how you find the slope of what's going on. There are tricky problems to look out for. In this case, you're looking at this one here where it's actually counting by 2. So when you do your rise over run, the best thing to do is to count halves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, -5 would be down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so that would be your way of finding slope. But again, that's just me using my common sense to look at the fact that it's counting by 2, not counting by 1, and trying my best not to mess that up. So again, that's part of those things that you need to be kind of adjusting for as we go forward. You also have slopes like this. And these two slopes are your tricky slopes. Make sure you at least draw a picture of these two lines with what I'm about to show you. The slope of this, the rise, notice, is 0. And your run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When I put 0 divided by 6 into my calculator, I get the answer of 0. Here your rise is 1, 2, 3. Your run is 0. When I type 3 divided by 0 in my calculator, I get an error, which means that this number does not exist. So this slope is undefined. Now you could do your rise over run method, or you could use your common sense here. And here's how I remember what 0 is. I can stand on a 0 slope, and if I walk on this, I won't rise, I won't fall. It's a flat line. But if I try to stand on a undefined slope, I'm going to fall and die. Maybe not die, but at least fall. But again, undefined I cannot stand on. So 0 slope is the one I can stand on. Undefined slope is the one I cannot stand on. Bottom line is, again, you need to make sure you do some sort of practice with that to make sure you get it down, because in general, that is the idea. So practice these two skills and your best to, and do your best to finish the homework today. This week is your toughest in terms of new information, but keeping up to speed will allow you to actually study. I think you're starting to understand my statement about the difference between doing homework and studying the material. If not, you want to figure out that doing one will get you 100% on homework and a 50% on test. The other will put you in a place where mathematics will never be a challenge for you again. So whatever it is, just make sure you're learning the material and understanding what's going on. Don't get caught up in the game of just trying to get 100% on homework through cheating or whatever it might be, because math is a skill, which means that every year your skill set has to improve. As soon as you start cheating, your skill set doesn't improve. Your cheating might get better, but at some point cheating won't work, and you're not going to be able to find the answer through cheating, which means at some point you will be exposed drastically for not knowing what you're doing, and all the work that you try to run away from is going to be put back in front of you. So just make sure you're practicing, make sure you're communicating, and we should be good. Other than that, oh yeah, I got the notes. Don't forget to answer the question at the end of the video, and that should do it. Good luck.